As it relates to damage up there, if there's any damage, CAL FIRE on any incident will come back through, because there will be damage. I mean, to get in there and try and protect the community, you got to get in there. They'll go back through and take a look at any damage, and they'll look at making repairs that are necessary. Even from the standpoint of when it rains, there's going to be runoff from that area. So they'll look at making repairs up there, and so noted in terms of what you were bringing up on damage to roads or whatever it might be. That's something that they do at every incident to look at repairing that, and so they'll be doing that.
So, Chief, a question. Can you give us a context for how many apparatus responded from how many jurisdictions?
Let me tell you that San Mateo County is one of the only counties I'm aware of that has a complete boundary drop, which means that we have one communication center in this county. Every piece of fire apparatus is tracked from one location, so it doesn't matter what jurisdiction a fire occurs in. We are able to launch resources right now through one dispatch center. There's no delay. And we had probably, with CAL FIRE, local government, probably 35 fire engines that were here. We probably had 25 fire engines up in here trying to do structure protection, another 5 on the backside of South San Francisco, and then there was 10 additional wildland type engines that were coming in here to participate in trying to handle this fire. And that happened, you probably, if you look at the timing, it wasn't even dark yet, and we had a lot of fire engines here, and that's because of the really great system that we have in San Mateo County that we can all access. And it doesn't cost any of our communities any money to do that. We just go ahead and move the 58 fire engines in this county up and down the county very seamlessly.
Hi, I'm Renee Marmion at 310 Kings Road, and this was my second evacuation in a month. And I have to tell you that both of them ran very quickly and swift. The first one, we got out 209 students. Everybody was accounted for and safe. And the other one at 310, when they came by and evacuated us, it was police cars. And then when we evacuated out, on the way down, we just gave 310 Kings Road was evacuated all the way down, even to the public works. So everybody, and I comment, it was very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is the third or fourth fire in Brisbane. Do we have any ideas of why these are happening?
I think I'll pass that right to the chief.
There is nobody out there intentionally starting fires that we can determine. The fire that you can look at right here, it's really difficult to find a cause when it comes to wildland fires, but right there next to the road, a lot of times what will happen is, and this is speculation, catalytic converters will throw out carbon that's hot, and you'll get a roadside spot that'll run up a hillside. That may be the case this one that occurred right over here. We're still, this 300-acre fire that we're talking about here today is still under investigation. CAL FIRE, and we're participating, but it's CAL FIRE's incident. They've been up there pretty much crawling around the area where the fire started, trying to determine what occurred there. Another fire that had happened here that was probably a couple-acre fire may have been related. There's no, what we do is we eliminate everything it could be. And then it boils down to, it falls in the area of human. And whether it's a cooking fire or a warming fire or something like that that may be involved, it gets down to, unless you can get somebody telling you who did it, you saw them do it, it's difficult. But we're trying to determine the cause on all of these, and they're still open and under investigation.
Dan, and then the gentleman around.
The evening of the fire, one of the two things. One, I saw people up on their roof, letting their roof down and vegetation around their land, and I'm not sure whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, whether it affects the water pressure in town. I saw a lot of people up in houses on their roof, and especially up on Humboldt and Kings. And the second point I wanted to make is that late, like 45 minutes or more into the fire, when Kings was being evacuated, there were a lot of engines. 2 more engines came into town, screaming, full sirens, coming all the way up to Humboldt before they shut down their. They didn't need to have their. It seemed like it was excessive, additional anxiety adding to the town. They were like from Millbury and Woodside. way coming in. I don't know if it's way.
You know, point taken, part of what they're trying to do is not run somebody over, and that's why we use lights and sirens and make sure people get out of the way. We were still requesting resources. That was the 5th alarm that we've gone to because we were not sure on the backside. We weren't sure whether or not how it was going to hold based on the winds. But you know, they generally just use their lights and sirens to alert people that they're coming through, and they're pretty big, and we try not to drive too fast. We're not always perfect at that, but I hear what you're saying. But that's what they're doing. They're trying to just get people out of the way.
What about the water?
How about the use of water?
You know, what I'll tell you is this: people need to do what they need to do to protect their property. But if we say get out of there, then you need to get out of there. And if you're in the area that we're saying leave, leave. It doesn't do any good for you to be there because then you just become a potential problem for us if you get trapped and impacted by the fire.
We were asked to evacuate. There were still people walking their dogs, bringing cars up on Kings. So if we were being asked to evacuate, I don't think I should leave my home when I got water pressure and I've got people coming into my neighborhood from God knows where. And, you know, the safety of my home. It wasn't my yard I was worried about.
Right.
It was my 2 neighbors' yards with 3-foot weeds and large old wood piles that I was
Right.
very
And
concerned
here,
about.
and here is
spot fires.
here is in California that we deal with all the time. The people that tell you the story about how they stayed behind and saved their house. There's another story that goes on out there where last year 8 firefighters were going in trying to get people who thought they could stay in, and they're still in burn centers right now. So in California, when you hear mandatory, what we have is immediate threat and precautionary evacuations. We really don't have the ability to force you out of your home. If you make a decision to stay there, then you do it understanding that you're on your own. Not, that sounds bad, we'll try and get you. I'm just saying that it's one more headache that we have to deal
Well, we
with
had
if someone
8
doesn't
engines.
evacuate.
And we had a plan, so it
Okay.
wasn't, you know, and people, people were coming into the area.
Right.
Cars were parking on my street.
I think most people will get the sense, you know, what we do as firefighters, we look for 2 ways out all the time. So if you are deciding that you want to stay, and I'm going to tell you standing here, do not stay, get out when we tell you to get out. But if you do decide to do it, you better have a second exit and a plan on how you're going to go. Because I tell you, when you see the 100-foot flame lengths coming at you, you'll probably be motivated to make a run that direction. Have a plan where you're going to go, because your life may depend
My
on it.
father-in-law is a firefighter, and he was up there with us, so I think.
Like I said, there's many stories out there of people that stay behind and do things. What we'd rather see people do is prepare by clearing around their homes so that
Yes,
everything
exactly.
is to the best you
The homes
can.
back to Kings.
You know, that includes firewood, any kind of flammable storage around your homes, vegetation, any of that kind of stuff makes it much easier for us to put an engine in there and try and protect your home and you. And you have to make some individual decisions. You know, we do a blanket thing, get out, because that solves it for us. But you know what? You make personal choices out there.
Gentleman in orange has been very patient. Go ahead.
Question, I mean, there's a lot of elderly, semi-mobile or immobile people would have liked to have been to this meeting. And what kind of precautions or, you know, system do you have, or can you implement for people that can't, or elderly people that can't get out of their house? You know, maybe the elderly be registered with the city downtown or something, people that, you know, will gonna need assistance, that kind of thing.
That happens quite frequently. You know what's difficult on databases is you can't keep them current. People come and go, and it's really difficult to do. What I'll tell you is that, and it happens in every incident, people call 911 and say, I live at this address, I can't get out. It comes to the incident commanders, we then get it out, and we come in and we pull people out of their homes that can't get themselves out. The other point that was brought up about reverse 911, most of the time it's faster to evacuate without reverse 911 unless you're doing a precautionary just days in advance. Reverse 911 is beneficial for the people who don't know that the fire's coming and didn't hear anything about it. They'll get a phone call. So that is a good point that we will put into the plan of looking to make that happen. That's a secondary way of advising. You could be sitting in your house and life is good and you don't know anything's going on, and you know, we haven't been able to knock on every door yet, but we're telling you get out. reverse 911 can be a secondary means of letting somebody know. And then they realize, I can't physically go anyway, they dial 911, we move fire companies, law enforcement, whoever it is, to get people out and move to a different, a safe location.